ShortMeTina.com with my daily recap. So we're going to take a little break from the equities market and just focus on cryptocurrencies. I've been in crypto for a couple of years. I wasn't one of the early adopters in like 2010 or anything like that, although I was very much so well aware of Bitcoin around that time. It just didn't make any sense to me back then, right? 10 years ago. I would say around 2015, 2016, when we started to have this run up around here, I said to myself, well, there might be something to this, and let me invest conservatively, or how should we say, responsibly in the cryptocurrency market. And obviously, one of the first ones, actually, that's not the most accurate. It took me, it wasn't my first purchase. Bitcoin was not my first purchase, but again, I wasn't an early adapter. Came into it a couple of years ago, and I'm glad that I did. Looking at the performance of Bitcoin right now, it's incredible, really. So this is a weekly chart dating back to essentially 2014, but from a technical perspective, let's just focus in on price action. We can say from late 2017 till present. I always talk about these rounding bottoms, or in my opinion, what looks like a rounding bottom. What happens is you have this peak here around that 20,000 mark that we experienced in December of 2017. Then we went through a huge bear market, a slight upward trend. Again, we had this pullback, and then I would say around mid 2020, when the equities market bottomed, from there on, you saw this run up in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, that I'll talk about a little bit later. And the major break happens here. So the longer it takes, just FYI, whether it's the equity markets or cryptocurrency, the longer it takes for these rounding bottoms to play out. Like if you see a rounding bottom over the course of, and I'm not sure if I've seen it, over the course of 7 years or 8 or 9, and you finally get a break, meaning the equity or the stock or the currency or the token trades above that previous peak or that high, expect the stock or the cryptocurrency, etc., to run. And that's exactly what Bitcoin did. When it was trading around 20,000, I was doing videos last year saying, listen, if it can get above that 20,000 mark again, I can see it going to 40,000. Everyone thought that, oh my God, that's crazy, that's nonsense. And once it got to 40, the run has been epic, right? We topped out around 58,000. I thought we were going to have a slight pullback to that 20,000 base. That did not really happen. We had a pullback to the low 30s around here. And you can see for the last few, let's switch to a daily. You can see for the last few days, it looks like we're setting up once again for another break higher. And you can see here the volume is not as intense as it was around this. The volume it's good, but clearly not what we saw in 2020, etc. So sitting here at around 56,000, I definitely think Bitcoin is on its way to that 100,000 mark. I know it's incredibly hard to fathom for me too, that, this currency can see such exponential growth in such a short period of time. But I don't have laser eyes, but I definitely am on that boat that we can see Bitcoin at $1 million for one. We're not there yet. I think the next step is 100,000. So it's definitely a double from here. And obviously, if you can't afford to buy one coin at 56,000, just buy a fraction, right? Or whatever you can afford, even if that's just 2,500 worth or 5,000 worth or even 1,000 worth, right? Because you can buy fractional Bitcoins. And if you get 1,000 worth, if it gets to 100,000, you would have at least doubled your money, which is a good investment no matter which way you slice or dice it, right? So Bitcoin, like everyone else, I'm very bullish, but I don't really trade cryptos. I just have them, and I intend to hold on to them for a very long time. And I'll talk about two others that I really like the action, and I think we'll call it a day for Friday. What else? All right, and one of my honestly better performance than Bitcoin for me was Chainlink. And that's what you're looking at right now. It's a daily chart. I want to just obviously focus in on price action from August of 2020 to present, because that's where this experienced, in my opinion, the rounding bottom in the breakout. So the rounding bottom completed around 20, and once it broke out, we got north of 40, almost a double. It has since retreated to 27. It's really interesting. Again, like I said before, with tokens and currencies, I just buy in increments and I hold. I don't really trade them because it's just not worth it for me. It's just not my strategy entering into it. But what I notice here, and for anyone that's long, and I definitely at one point thought, and I'm not saying that I don't think so anymore, I thought Chainlink was actually going to trade at 50 pretty soon. But granted, we got the rounding bottom. And this here, like say this was an equity and I saw this pattern here, I probably would have let go of my shares around here when you had the break of that upward trend line on confirming volume. So for me, people were unloading around February 23rd, 2021. I'm not quite sure what happened. I wouldn't say throw the currency all away. I'm still gonna hold. But just based on this, I can see it really getting back to that $20 level. And if you're looking to get long, that might be an ideal place based on the chart to go long. So I like Chainlink. It's actually performed for me way better than Bitcoin. I think I'm up something like 1,000%, no lie, on this. And it was just by happenstance. It's not to say when I invested in Chainlink, I understood the fundamentals of it and I was like, okay, this is a good bet. I just literally looked at cryptocurrency, had a feeling that it was going to experience altogether exponential growth. How's that expression? I don't know, something to do with tides and boats, etc. A rising tide lifts all boats. I think that's the expression. And so I knew that as long as I focused in on the ones that were heavily traded or the ones that had larger market caps, I should be safe. And so Chainlink was one of those on the radar. I got into it definitely around $1 and something cents. So seeing it trade here at around 40 or north of 40 was great. So still holding Chainlink. Based on what I'm seeing now, I'm expecting more selling to that $20 mark. But I think that might actually be a good spot for me to add more. Or for anyone who's thinking of entering, definitely give it a look, give it a chance. What else? All right, so we're gonna cap it with Ethereum. I do have other cryptocurrencies, but I just thought let me do a video on these three to just get it started. Maybe next week I'll talk about some others that I hold. Ethereum, for whatever reason, I have been a late comer to this particular currency. I think I got in, again, being a chartist, looking at Bitcoin. I know, I think I was about to say Bitcoin. I don't know why. I don't know. Anyway, looking at, me talking about rounding bottoms, right? Ethereum is clearly experiencing one. And so I'm going to draw it here. I have the curve, right? You had the peak in 2018 around 1,500. And so when it breaks out, right, and it's actually in the beginning stages of the breakout. If you look at Bitcoin, you see what happens after it broke out. If you look at Chainlink and, I'm sure others with this particular price pattern. So we broke out here, unconfirming volume. I like this here, and that's actually when I decided to go long. So again, I am a latecomer to Ethereum, but I still can potentially see a double here in similar ways that Bitcoin doubled, in similar ways that Chainlink doubled off of this pattern here. And you can see we got the break around January. We're sitting at 1,700. I'm actually surprised at how long it's actually taking it to double to that. Let's double of let's do the math. Let's double of, let's say 1,500. Let's say that's the breakout base. Double 1,500 is like around 3,000. So I see this getting to around 3,000 based on this chart. But I'm actually surprised at how slow it's actually taking it. So still like Ethereum, I'm a latecomer. I took the trade anticipating a breakout here and knowing how those tend to unfold. Sitting here at 1738, I do see it hitting 3,000. And so let me just go back to Bitcoin for a second so you can see the similar pattern, right? Similar rounding bottom. You had the breakout, and then I just talked about Chainlink, right? Similar pattern. Let me go switch to the daily. Similar pattern. Once it broke out, you had that huge push. So right now, what we're seeing in Ethereum, we're right here. We haven't experienced this yet. So let's go back to Bitcoin, not BTF. BTF, isn't that like a K-pop group? No, that's BTS, I think. Anyway, so weekly chart. So what we're seeing in Ethereum is sort of this right here, the beginning stages of this upward trend once it breaks out. All right. So that's it for some of the cryptocurrencies that I'm in. I'll probably talk about some others that I'm in, including Ripple and where I see that going maybe next week or at some point. But got a little tired about talking about the equities market because, again, I don't really see, outside of financials, I don't really see I don't see really great setups. I don't. Anyway, we're going to cap it there. Tina here, once again, from ShortMeTina.com. If you enjoyed any portion of that video, I'd like for you to do a few things for me. One, comment, like the video. Like, it really does help get it out to other traders too. Right now, what we're doing is we're hosting a free 14-day trading course on our website where I detail a lot of the things that I've learned trading the stock market for the last 20 years. It allowed me to go from being extremely inconsistent to consistent. And some of the things that I talk about in that free trading course, I employ to this day. I don't need your credit card, just a valid email address to know where to send the information to. So if you're interested in that, definitely head on over to our website, ShortMeTina.com, sign up, become a member. Thank you for listening. And as always, thank you for the support. TGIF March Blitz continues. I'm not going to do a video on the weekends because the markets are closed. Well, at least the equities markets are closed, not the crypto markets. Not going to do a video on the weekend. I'll see you guys back here on Monday the 15th. Enjoy the weekend.